Real estate investors love, for some reason, to talk about everything they're doing. With real estate, you don't have to learn everything. In some ways, you don't have to learn anything. Hey there, I'm David Green, and I would like to welcome you to the second part of my video series in Why I Love Real Estate. Today, we'll be focusing on the concept of leverage.
One needs proper leverage.
My definition of leverage when it comes to real estate is using some other resource to accomplish your purpose. And I basically boiled it down to three different ways that I see leverage occurring within real estate. You've got money, you've got with people, and then you've got with knowledge. You can leverage all of those to help you accomplish your goals. Now let's start with the first concept, leverage through money. Let's say I want to buy a property that's worth $1 million. Ooh. But I don't want to save $1 million of my own dollars to buy it. That would take a very long time. Instead, I can come up with a small down payment, let's say in this case, 5%, where I have to save $50,000. Now that's still a decent amount of money, but it's definitely not $1 million. In this case, by putting 5% down, $50,000, and borrowing 95% from the bank, the other $950,000, I'm able to take ownership and control of an asset worth $1 million by only putting $50,000 down. Now let's say that property that's $1 million goes up by 10%. So now it's worth $1,100,000. Well, if I had paid cash for this property at $1 million, that would be a 10% increase on my money. 1 million into 1,100,000. But remember, I only paid $50,000. So if I've made $100,000 in equity, but I only put $50,000 down, that is a 200% increase on my money with very little work. This is one of the ways that we make big money through real estate without taking the same risks that you see in the stock market, in the crypto market, and other areas like that. It is all made possible through leverage because I use other people's money to buy the deal. Real estate is one of the easiest asset classes, or the easiest asset class I've ever seen to leverage. If I went to a bank and I said, hey, I want to buy a whole bunch of this company's stock, I'd like you to give me 95% of the position I'm going to take, they would laugh at me and tell me to go do it myself. But if I go to a bank and say, I'd like to borrow 95% of the money it costs to buy this house, they likely would give it to me. Well, why is that? The first reason is because of government-sponsored enterprises, GSEs. Now, those are institutions that the government works with to buy loans once they are originated by mortgage brokers under certain guidelines. What this means is you are much more likely to get approved for a loan where the bank is putting down the majority of the money, and you're only putting down a small amount because the American government is insuring it through these agencies that will then go buy that loan. They're trying to find a way to make it easier for Americans to own real estate, and we don't even pay attention to the fact that this is happening. Another reason it's easier to leverage real estate is because if the bank has to get their investment back, they can take a house, which is pretty easy to sell. If they have to take back a bunch of stock, well, the only reason they'd be taking it back would be if the stock lost all of its value. And what do they do with it? So banks like making loans on real estate because it's one big chunk of land and property that can be sold to another person in a relatively simple process compared to other things that they could give loans for. If you want to learn more about leverage, start here. Why not leverage the comments in this video? See what other people are typing and type in your own question or comment on there for other people to see. All right, now let's move on to the second way that real estate provides leverage and why I love it. And that's leverage through people. One of the coolest things about real estate is you don't have to learn how to do all of it. There are many people in a transaction and in the ownership of a property that will do a lot of the heavy lifting so you don't have to. And leveraging those people is easier in real estate than almost anything else that you might do. Now think about if you go out to eat at a restaurant, you're using leverage. You're using someone else to cook your food, somebody else to maintain the restaurant, someone else to order the food, somebody else to seat you at the table, somebody to decide what kind of drink you think you might want and bring it to you, somebody to wash the dishes when they're done. There's a ton of leverage all happening inside of that restaurant. Well, with real estate, it's the same, but there's less moving pieces. It's actually easier to manage than what a restaurant is. You want to get a loan to buy the property? There is a loan officer who will do all the work of getting you the loan by just collecting your documentation, finding the lender for you, and brokering your deal. There's a real estate agent that will help you find properties, answer your questions about what to expect from them, understands how to fill out all the complicated paperwork in the state that you're buying in to keep you protected, and then brings in a lot of the loose ends as far as what you might need to make that thing work. Let's say something breaks, and like me, you're not super handy. Well, that's okay. It's not hard to find a handyman or a contractor to come in and do a lot of this work. You don't have to know how to do it yourself, just like you don't have to wash your own dishes when you eat at a restaurant. You can also leverage the management of that asset once it's bought. So you bought the place, you're going to rent it out to someone else and use their money to pay back the person that you leveraged the loan to buy the house from. Well, a property manager can handle all of that for you, and they just take a little bit of a cut off the top. And if you're worried about paying all these people, just make sure the property makes enough money to pay them for you. So now it's none of your own money, it's money that the property is generating. What I'm getting at is that when you buy a deal right, it provides all of the income to take care of itself. When the deal is right, you can borrow money from a bank to buy that property. When the deal is right, you can use income that the property makes that comes from your tenants to pay for the person that placed those tenants there in the first place, and to pay for all the things that those tenants might break. With real estate, you don't have to learn everything. In some ways, you don't have to learn anything. You just have to know enough to get a deal, and there's someone else out there that you can leverage to do that work. And here's the beautiful thing about it. My CPA saves me much more money than I pay them to do the work for me. My bookkeeper saves me so much time by managing the inflow and outflow of income and expenses that I can put my time on earning much more money than what I pay for them to do it. All of these people don't just cost money. They save me money, and they allow me to do higher dollar productive activities that keeps all of them busy and all of them happy and my own portfolio thriving. The last thing you can leverage in real estate is knowledge. What that means is that you don't have to learn everything yourself, and you don't have to make every mistake yourself. I learn a ton about real estate investing by listening to other people, by reading books that other people have written. I often get in knowledge about who I could use for a loan, who could fix up my house from talking to other people. It is awesome. Real estate investors love, for some reason, to talk about everything they're doing, and you can leverage that knowledge. I host the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Podcast, which is probably the best place ever for you to leverage to learn about real estate investing. Not everybody out there is made for taking the risks or taking the responsibility of investing in real estate. For instance, your handyman might not ever want to own real estate, but they need you to own it to keep them employed. The same for your bookkeeper, your CPA, your real estate agent, your mortgage officer, your insurance provider, your roofer. All of these people depend on you. And by making sure that you keep taking progress and keep buying properties, you keep all of them employed and all of them fed. And in that way, you give back to the community as a whole. All right, I hope you like this video, and I hope you're starting to see why you should fall in love with real estate, and specifically leverage, even more than you were before you watch this. Remember, it's all about money, people, and knowledge, and leveraging them isn't using them. It's actually giving them the opportunities that they are dependent on you to provide. If you like this video, please do me a favor. Just hit the subscribe button so you get notified the next time I make a video, so I can keep making this and I know that somebody is watching them. Also, leave me a comment below. If there's something you think I missed about leverage, I want to know, what did I miss, and maybe I need to include it in my next video. Thank you very much. Check out one of my other videos after this one.